out there, right?
It's not
Oh, come on, you were out
smoothly cold.
5 minutes,
December
your hands
something.
were frozen.
That happens to me all the
Oh,
time. It's
no,
cold
listen,
enough to
it's
make my
not
hands cold,
December
but it's not very
already, is
cold.
it?
What?
It's not December
What do we disagree about, do you know?
Yes, whether it's December or not.
I think it is. In many states it's December.
Mhm.
I'm glad I just walked briskly. That's air. And naturally, those pistons didn't send anything.
Nothing.
I know.
How many times has this happened?
More than once.
Yes.
Okay, so
What the hell does? Can't pass notes now in the front.
I think it's I think you just want to,
What?
I think you just, I'll tell you later.
so we are going to learn now a very practical meditation. I don't know if to combine two meditations, two techniques in one, or just one and then the other. But I will decide as I go. Now this is a pranayama mantra. I'm going to use the blackboard. You can see? All of you
Yes.
can see? Pranayama mantra. Now pranayama means breathing, a breathing exercise. And mantra is a mantra. Now the theory of mantras is a very sophisticated, ancient theory based on the value of different sounds. Very much developed in the Eastern cultures. The Eastern cultures, you know, the East and the West have lived separate for many, many centuries, for many, many times. In fact, well, now we live in a global world for the first time since there is memory. If you think about, for example, when we were children and we were taught history, I can speak about Europe, I don't know exactly here, but you know, when you speak about ancient history, well, you learn about the Egyptians, then the Roman Empire, then the Middle Ages, then the Illustration, the discovery of America. So you learn that. They only speak you about the East when Marco Polo just by chance went there and brought spaghetti and powder and things like that. They really don't tell you about what the history of the Eastern world. It's like we ignored them completely. While, for example, while the Roman Empire was there, historians today, there was the empire in India was the first empire of Akasha, and Akasha was the first Buddhist empire. The historians calculate that the gross national product, you say gross national, like the gross national product of the Akasha Empire was like 3 times the gross national product of the Roman Empire. So it was 3 times the size. There was frequent, very, very frequent interchange of goods and communication between the Achaean Empire. They had, the Romans had ambassadors there, and they tell you about the greatness of the temples and the palaces, because it was a very prosperous time. But we know nothing about it. Nobody tells us, unless you go and study history in the special place where you find about these things. You really don't know. You only know the famous path of silk, the, how do you call it?
Silk Road.
The Silk Road and the Species Road. You know that joint because you know there was a lot of trade between the Roman Empire and the Achaean Empire. By the way, this is just an anecdote, but both roads, the silk and the species, yeah, they joined in Galilee, where Jesus was born. And you know, Jesus is said to was a poor man, and they had a carpentry. Having a carpentry in Galilee was like having a garage. Tell me a place where all the trucks go. a hub place for trucks. I don't know, there must be. It was the hub place for all the caravans, and all of them came after so long walks with the wheels, had to be repaired, this had to be, so, you know, it was if you had a carpenter there, a carpentry there, and you didn't make money, you were stupid. And in fact, you know, like you that belong to the Jewish culture, in fact, that trade was very much in the hands of the Jewish. And you know, St. Paul was a very rich Jewish Roman citizen and dealt with all these kind of businesses and trades, you know, because the Jewish people have been hated throughout the ages. But look, you are, I think it is 0.2% of the population, more or less.
0.2.
Eh?
Of the world population?
Yeah.
0.2.
0.2%. But you have 30% of Nobel Prizes. Which is, you know, that's fact. I mean, and you know, and philosophers, you are for sure some kind of chosen people for some respect, because really there has been such a lot of things that have come to the Western world from the Jewish traditions. I mean, from Einstein to you name it, to our own religion, because it was started by a Jewish man. So the religion, the main religion of the Western world, let's say, which is Christianity. So, you know, it's definitely a gifted group of people. And that's why, you know, people are have envy. And that's why, you know, there has been so many, I suppose, that is my interpretation. But definitely, you know, this was the thing that, you know, we have lived separate from the East, and only now we are learning from the East, and the East is learning from us. And we could say that in the Western civilization we have very much advanced and very much managed to understand the material world, and we have developed, you know, from physics to this to that to technology, you know, all these things come from the Western world, because we have put our attention very much in the external world, in the material external world, while the Eastern people have put their attention in the mind, in the instrument I use to know the world. That is why today psychology is drinking from the ancient Eastern traditions. You know, we spoke here in the West, we spoke about the subconscious mind in 19th century with Freud. And in the 19th century, you know, the typical Victorian empire, you know, the typical Victorian gentleman would tell you, subconscious me. What do you mean? I subconscious. I am completely conscious. So, you know, we have, you know, just started to kind of scratch the mind while they've been for centuries. They speak about subconscious minds in texts that go back 3,000 years. So you have much more authors about what the mind is and how the mind works and meditation techniques and this, that, the other. In the East, like you have much more mathematicians and physics and theories that come from the West, but now, you know, we are learning from them and they are learning from us, because they are learning all the things that we have developed and we are learning all the things that they have developed. So we are now in this global world. All this just to say that the theory of mantras is something that comes from the East, but it's a very, very scientific theory. Very well thought, makes a lot of sense, and has a lot to do with how science and physics today is trying to interpret how this world works, you know, particularly when you get into those very, very, very fine matter, which is where the mind is in reality, in those very, 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 very subtle vibrations, which is the mind, like the radio waves. It's all around. In the case of the radio, you know, the waves is just a piece. Short wave will be more, but you know, it's just an area. The mind in reality, all the information of the mind is all around the place. So it's very fine and, you know, kind of covers it all. So the mantra theory is based on these vibrations. The first vibration was the Om, and, you know, it would be, you know, it's a theory that there are books and books and books, and it would be too long to explain more than the basic concept. But you could say that in the same way that in that vibration, in that signature of that vibration, was contained the seed of everything that happened, because when that vibration happened, it created the conditions and the laws of physics were put into motion at that very same time that determined how all this came about. It's a little bit, so in that vibration you have the seed, is the first thing, the seed of everything else. So it's the purest expression of that divine energy, let's say. So that would be the first vibration, which is Om. Well, in the same way that the Om, that vibration, created the circumstances for all this manifestation to come about, the personal mantra of a person is more or less the same thing. If you pull the string, you reach to the Big Bang. Well, just after the Om, this first vibration became, and this is the theory of mantra, multiple different vibrations, because this has the ability to replicate, duplicate itself, and mix with each other. So you have multiple vibrations, and you have what is called like the first Bija mantras, which are 22 feminine and 22 masculine, or 22 negative, 22 positive. And the theory of mantra says that with the combination of all those vibrations, you generated the seed for every form. So, in the same way that this Om created this universe, there is a vibration that created the path that goes from the Big Bang to you. And that is the personal mantra, which is what we teach in this school of meditation. Now today, and in fact yes, I'm going to teach you the two techniques, the pranayama mantra and the personal mantra. Today I'm going to teach you a preparatory mantra, which the word says it all. It's just to learn how to use a mantra. Because once you have learned to use this mantra and have used it for 8 weeks, you can come and I will give you your personal mantra, right? So we have that is what the personal mantra is. Now, to use the mantra meditation is about the following thing. You would close your eyes and you would start repeating the mantra. And what you want to do is to listen to the sound of your voice repeating the mantra. The mantra, you want a mantra which is just a sound, so it doesn't must to have attached meaning. In fact, the personal mantra is just a sound, a vocalized sound. Personal mantra could very well be patatim, 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 you know, like an example, like a vibration, like a signature of something. So it's just a sound. The problem of repeating a mantra with meaning is that you will excite the meanings in your mind. So if you repeat mentally the wall is white, the wall is white, the wall is white, you will end up thinking in white walls. But if you repeat in your mind, love is God, love is God, love is God, you will produce in your mind whatever concepts you have associated with those two words. And it's not what you are trying to do with your mantra. What you are trying to do with your mantra is to connect with your very, very deep vibration. We could say that before the first thought is created in your mind, there is a vibration that exists by itself, which is kind of the signature. It's your particular form of the Om. And you want to connect to that deep vibration. And that's what the mantra is all about. With that divinity or spark that you were telling me before, with that spark that you have because you are part of that spark. And the same energy that pushed everything in the Big Bang is the energy that pushed you to walk, pushed you to speak, and continues pushing all your molecules and this universe, by the way. So, how do we use a mantra? We repeat the mantra mentally. The mantra will be something that means nothing to us. The preparatory mantra, we will have to give it a meaning. It will be something with meaning, although it will mean nothing because it will be a word in Sanskrit. So it will mean nothing to you, but as it is, it's just to learn how to use a mantra. And what you do is you repeat it mentally and you put your attention in the sound of your voice when your inner voice is repeating the mantra. Because you can, if you start repeating, for example, now you close your eyes and repeat any word, for example, that chair is white, and you repeat and you put your attention, you start repeating, that chair is white, that chair is white, and you put your attention in how your voice sounds, of the sound of your voice inside your head when you are repeating, that chair is white. And you just play to listen to the different sounds of your voice, just to put the attention in listening to your voice and try to get to the real sound of your voice. You want to listen exactly the sound of your most deep inner voice, repeating the chair is white. Okay, stop. Open your eyes. Have you realized that you can listen to the sound of your voice inside your head? Yeah? Everybody? Yeah? Have you realized that, you know, you say it in different tones, in different this, and that you are, well, that inner sound of your voice is associated to your eye. And there is a sound that is your eye.
You mean the eye of the small self?
No, the real I. The real being, what is represented by that vibration. In Sanskrit terms would be the Atman, or in Judaic terms would be the soul, probably, what you know, the divine spark within you. That, the real I, not the little I. The little I, you know, is the surface of the mind. It's just the waves in the mind. It's like an ocean, and it's the waves of the ocean. So that is the little I. So you want to connect with that. In fact, all this is connected in how the mind works. I don't know if I will have the time to explain so much. Probably yes, yeah. Come on, I'll explain it a little bit. So, another way of, let me just check one thing here. Yeah. So that you understand what we mean by the personal mantra. Another way to make an ideogram of the mind would be, imagine an inverted cone. And the surface of this cone, imagine it as if it was a sea with waves. This is the conscious mind. This is what you are aware, what you are conscious of, conscious mind. Just below this, you could imagine it as the currents that are just below the waves that generate the waves. You have structures. Structure A, structure B, which are like currents. They have energy and they create movement. Structure C to structure N. These structures are sets of impressions, like in the example I put this morning, that, you know, packets of information. And these packets of information are, you have an A prime, a B prime, a C prime, and an N prime, and this is your circumstances. Now, for example, to put you an example so that you can understand it, in Spain, one of the things that our foundation does is teach meditation to abused women, women victims of gender violence. These are the typical cases where the husband, you know, is beating the wife and a judge intervenes. And then you know, for example, he's giving, how do you say, an order to be 2 miles away or whatever the case might be. And then these women normally, when they are in these very dangerous situations, I don't know what the situation is in Spain, but in all countries, in the US, I think it's worse by number of people killed every day. But you know, one of the things that they do with these women is they go kind of homes where they get protected while they reorganize their lives. And we work in those homes with 2 other foundations. One is Foundation Ana Bella, and the other is the Foundation Clara Campoamor. And you know, we teach meditation to these women. This is a program that is led by one of our teachers in Seville, a woman. So everybody knows in these centers, the social workers, everybody knows that this is the abuser, right? The judge takes the abuser away, right? And you protect the woman from the abuser. And they are in the flat, protected. The first month they don't leave the place, but then they start leaving the place. Many times. They leave the place, they go to a bar, and they meet with another abuser. And they make friends, and you have another abuser. Because this is like the law of gravity, you know? This works through laws like the law of gravity. You know, the moon doesn't miss a millisecond around the earth, although it doesn't know how to count. Until you don't sort out the patternings within the woman that makes her get into that situation, you keep having another one there. So, you know, this is what you are reflecting, all these patternings. This is the superficial subconscious, which is the patternings that have been created this lifetime. Then there is another layer of the mind that we could call it the deep subconscious. This is like the deep currents that are down there. In other words, they are currents that are not yet manifested. We could call it the seeds of new karmas. Currents that are deeply in, you know, according to the theory of reincarnation that comes from other lifetimes, but it's not yet the time to learn about them. Here is what you are learning about that is perfectly manifested outside. Then, all this is the collective, this is how Carl Jung, collective subconscious.
Unconscious.
Yeah, I know that Jung called it unconscious, but Jung made a mistake with the word there, because there is nothing unconscious in this universe of ours. It's only below consciousness, but there is consciousness here also. This is all information, and this is the supraconscious mind. Now, if you put the string here, if you consider the mind information of the experiences gained from the Big Bang to today, this would represent the Big Bang, okay? And this is the end result, which is your life and your conscious mind. And what does mean that this is the subconscious mind? What does it mean? That this is collective, that this is common, that this is a mind that is common. It's very easy. And you can picture it in your mind. Now, you have two parents, right? Two parents. And 4 grandparents. And 8 great-grandparents. So you have, for those that are not of sciences, 2 to the n. So, in year 2000, you had 2 to the 45 generations, family. Now, if you want to go to Excel and put this number in Excel, this is a number with, I think it is 14 zeros or something like that. So it is a number 3, 6, 12, 15 zeros, at least a 15 zeros number. Now, in the Earth, in year 1000, it is known by historians that there were in total, China included everything, you can look it, only 380 million people. Where are the thousands of billions, of trillions and billions of family that are missing? Where are they? Where are they? Exactly, where are they? Because you know you have 2 parents and 4 grandparents, and you know if you want I take Excel. It's trillions, it's not even billions, it's quadrillions, it's a quadrillion of a trillion, of a billion, of millions, of direct family. Where are the ones that you are missing? Because in the whole earth, you only had 380 million people. Where are they?
Killed off?
Eh?
Killed off? in
What do you mean
wars
killed
and-
off? What do you mean killed off?
Killed off in wars and famines?
I mean, you know, where are they? Very simple. In no time, we are all the same family. In no time, we belong all to the same family. We are all family of Julius Caesar, of Cleopatra, of this, of that, because you know, Julius Caesar had a son with this slave that had a son with that went to this, and then mixed hair and that. So in no time, once you pull the string, you don't have enough people, which means we all end in the same place. And in no time, we are all of the same family. Obviously, if you pull 200,000 years ago, the few ones that were there are all our family. Because it cannot be but that way. So, what that means is that the information that you inherited, everybody has inherited also. It's the same evolutionary. So it's collective, it's the same info. From very, this is in reality very, very thin if you put it in relative proportions. It's very, very thin. The part of the mind that is individually yours is compared to the part that we share in common is nothing, really nothing. It's just difference of matiz, they say in Spain, difference of detail, minuscule details are the difference between different human beings. So, connecting with the supraconscious in the mind, this generated the universal manifestation, this vibration, which is a kind of Om, but different, generated you. And to connect your conscious mind with your supraconscious mind through the subconscious mind, is what a mantra does. For that respect, if you would want to say how a personal mantra translates, it could very well be said that although it's not a word, it's just a sound, but that sound would mean what you are. So it could be like saying I am, but instead of saying I am, that will generate the concepts of your I in your mind rising, you say Trajirim, which doesn't mean for you nothing, but it's a vibration that is compatible or harmonic with this vibration, with the real vibration you have, and it's like using a diapason. You put one diapason to ring, and then the other diapason starts ringing. So it's like calling yourself from the conscious mind to the supraconscious mind. That is what the personal mantra does. It works, and it's very, very effective. So my advice is that if you practice these techniques, come back for your personal mantra, because it's what completes the package of things that one needs to deal with their lives, using a method that works to basically open your heart and learn to flow in life joyfully and make the best of it for you and for the people around you. Now, today what we are going to do is we are going to first practice a pranayama mantra, and we will follow with a mantra meditation. Now the pranayama mantra, again, it's a mantra that means nothing. It's not a language, it is sounds. Okay? So the pranayama mantra is Aim Krim Chamundaye Vi Che. Now, if you look this in Google, you will find all sorts of translations, but they are just inventions. Because, you know, it's like Om. Om is not a word, although you could see that they translated by the word God. But the word God in Sanskrit is Brahman, not Om. Om is a bija mantra, what it's called, a vocalized sound. And this comes from, you know, each bija mantra represents kind of a frequency or a vibration or a quality of nature. And then within these qualities of nature, what, you know, Indian mythology, what they created is gods. Like all these bija mantras represent the feminine qualities of nature. So it would be like invoking the frequencies or the energies of the mother, of what is the feminine part in nature. It is said that just after the Om appeared Aim Rim Grim Chamundaye Vicheche. So it is said in this Indian mythology that that was the sound that could be heard throughout the universe just after the Big Bang and just after that first vibration, which is Om would represent the masculine here, and Aim Rim Grim Chamundaye Vicheche, the variety represented by the feminine, no? Or nature and the process of creation that starts there on. So that is just to get it, but it's just a sound, and this is just an exercise that you have to practice with a sportive attitude, because what you are going to do is a physical exercise based on breathing and moving these muscles, your mouth, your tongue, because you are going to breathe in Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che, and in the last Che you are going to breathe out Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che, and the last Che you are going to breathe out, and again you breathe in Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che. Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che. Now this has a rhythm, and as we are going to have a drum circle at 7:30, it's good that we get into rhythm. This is very much like percussion. Aim, mouth closed. Harim, mouth closed. Krim, mouth closed. So it's Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che. And the last Che is a short one, and just to pull all the air out of the lungs. Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che, and you pull with your abdomen all the, and again Aim Hem Krim Chamundaye Viche Che. Now while you are doing this, that you will be doing it with your eyes closed, you will be observing yourself repeating this. Just in a relaxed way, you will observe how your mouth moves, how your vocal cords move, the movement of your breathing, the sensations you have in the body, the involuntary movements of the muscles when they happen, the sound of the rest of the people repeating it. You just observe yourself repeating this. While you are observing yourself repeating this, you will have all sorts of thoughts that will be verbal thoughts. But your mind will be using this part to move these muscles. Because, you know, when you are thinking verbally, sometimes you speak alone, because these muscles are connected with verbal thought in the precordial frontex. So, for example, one thing that might happen to you is You are saying Aim Hrim Krim Chamunda said this one che, and the thought gets kind of skips into your movement of these muscles. As you don't want that to happen because you want to repeat that, what you have to do is discard all thoughts as they appear, because you have to be busy directing the mind to repeat this. One of the thoughts that you will for sure have is, I am fed up of repeating this. Or, what a stupidity to repeat this. Well, as if someone else was fed up, or as if someone else was stupid. Just observe the thoughts and let it go. Just do the experiment, like if you were a scientist. You're going to see what happens when you just keep repeating nothing, because you are saying nothing, you're just making a sound, a complicated sound, try to do it well. You're going to get tired because the mind gets tired. So this is like when you go out to do running, that when you get tired you need to go on, because after you break that point it kind of becomes automatic. So once that point is broken, the repeating of this will become quite automatic, and you just observe yourself repeating this, right? And we are going to do 3 rounds. Each round is composed of 108 repetitions. And I start a little bit more slow, like this. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. 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 Then I go more quickly, all this part. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. Then I go slower again. Aim Hrim, like at the beginning. The last one, I do it very slow, which means you have to take a deep breath. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai Vicheche. You throw the last step, and then if you leave the breathing alone, you will automatically, naturally breathe in, and if you leave it alone, breathing will nearly stop, and you will feel a lot of quietude, because the mind is tired. So you have tired the mind, you have kind of stretched the mind, and then taken the stretching. And so the mind will feel relaxed and quiet. Don't even try to observe that quietude, just let yourself go in that quiet. Then, after a minute or 2, and when you are feeling nicely, I will start all over again, and we will do a second round. Aim Hrim Krim Chamundai, and like this, 3 rounds. When I finish the 3rd round, we will stay in silence, and I will start repeating the mantra that you are going to use, the particular mantra that you are going to use as a preparatory mantra. It's not your mantra, definitive mantra, but it's good to learn to meditate with mantra. And this is the mantra you are going to use. I'm going to tell you what it means, because you know we are going to give it a meaning to approximate it to what you know the essence of the personal mantra is. So, the mantra you are going to use is this one. And I explain you what it means. Ananda means bliss, means what you feel when you have unconditional love. That feeling, that bliss that, you know, the mystics describe is what the word Ananda means. So you are saying Ananda, the bliss I feel when I have unconditional love. Raj means king, bliss, unconditional love, is the king. So that bliss, that love, that feeling is the king that leads me. Gu and Du means light and darkness. That leads me from darkness to light. So that vibration, which will be your personal mantra, that vibration, which is bliss, and it's the expression or the feeling that you perceive when that energy is flowing through you, being that energy unconditional love, that energy, that feeling is the king, so is the best of all, that leads you from darkness to light, right? So you will use, so the way that I will do it is when we finish the third round, I will start repeating the mantra, Guru Rajananda, Guru Rajananda, Guru Rajananda, Guru Rajananda, and I will repeat it more slowly, more softly until you stop listening me. When you stop listening me, you just continue mentally repeating it, bringing your attention to the sound of your voice, repeating the mantra. And then the only instruction is, you allow yourself, you play like if you were a little boy playing with your imagination. You play to listen your voice, you can very slowly, and eventually you let it go so that you are just listening. You are not even repeating it mentally. The only thing you do, the only thing you act upon is, if engaged with your thoughts to the point that you have lost consciousness of the mantra, you just let the thought go by changing your attention from the thought to introducing mentally the repetition of the mantra once again, and bringing your attention to your inner ear to listen your voice, repeating the mantra. Right? You understood? Everybody understood? Good. So if you need to go to the restrooms, this is the last chance, because it's going to be a while. No? Everybody's okay? Not me, I need to go.
This part, the top thing,
How many times is
hundreds.
that? You
Here
just
you
keep
go.
doing it
You
until
keep
it says
doing it.
stop.
The other part, he's going to start saying.
And
you say that
I'm
in
on
your
board.
head.
No,
Yes.
okay.
The Guru Rajananda you say in your head, right? You don't say that aloud?
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he said to play with different sonorities in your head.
How many times did you say the first one?
How do you say the first
How
one?
many
No,
times?
100
Oh.
and something?
Oh, 108 times.
Well, there are 108 of rosary and stitches in a baseball.
Oh, so 108 times 3.
324.
Yeah, maybe exact. Go to the bath. Sorry, I'm going to miss the last 200.
Hit pause.
Yeah.
And encourage.
Okay, you need to look at it at the middle because you have forgotten, you just look at it. We do it with our eyes closed, remember, comfortably sitting down. Probably you want to be sure that it won't be cold because metabolism will go down and you might get cold. So maybe you want to exactly cover yourself nicely and sit comfortably. Like, are you like that?
Not sure.
That's not the best way to sit. Sit, vertical, so that you are a little bit vertical and in a stable position. Right? You know, to sit down to meditate, learn from a cat. Do like cats do. You know, they make themselves sure, they look at every place, they try like this, they try like that, and they say, okay, this, that, here.
No, that's not sustainable.
No.
Probably, you know, like that, you know, look, this is another good way to sit down, which is with a little cushion like that for your feet. Put your feet like that, that's it. Are you going to be okay with respect of temperature? Are you
I
sure?
think so, yes.
No, put,
I come with padding.
He does throw off a lot,
you are an
except for his
northern
hands.
New Yorker. I will do as your mother.
Okay.
Thank you. That's Aim Hrim Krim Chamandaya Vicheche. 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 Aim Hrim Krim Chamandaya.
Mantra, the
You
one.
laughed, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
well,
did.
no, it doesn't matter, you know, if you lose one of saying one, you just join the next one,
Yeah.
that's all, you know, it's just like if you were doing a pre-meditation exercise, because this quietens the mind. In fact, this is a very good practice if you are depressed, or have a, you know, panic attack, or the typical day that you don't bear yourself. You know, the typical day that you are fed up of yourself and of your thought processes. You sit down, you start repeating this, one round, another round, just a matter of rounds, you know. It comes a point that if you can do the experiment. I've done it and it works. If you do 21 rounds, we've done 3. If you do 21, and you keep going for 21, and after the 21st round, I ask you, what's your name? It takes you 2 or 3 minutes to answer, because you don't even remember what's your name.
Yeah.
So it dissipates all mental turmoil, this pranayama mantra. So it prepares the mind to enter into meditation. Tomorrow I will explain well how to use all these things during your daily life. So tomorrow I will explain all these things to you. Now we are going to use the time we have for the moment for questions.
You know, we talk about giving unconditional love out, but you come across people who you don't love, and you don't want to.
Well,
You don't see the spirit in them. All you see is a bad person in them.
well, that you know, you cannot force yourself to love. So you know, love is something that happens by itself. You cannot tell yourself, now you are going to love this person. That will not happen. What I can tell you is that whatever you see outside, like in the schema I made, you have it inside. So, you know, you say, oh, well, I see, you know, bad people. Well, bad people like you, in the sense that, you know, we are all the same, more or less. We are all as good or as bad, you know, good or bad, what is good or bad? Some people, some have conditioning, some conditionings, other people, some have other conditionings. I'll put you an example. I teach in Spain. One of the places that we teach and that I teach usually is in prison, in the prison. I've been going to one prison for 4 years in a row. And I took care of several modules, some of them of the long-term sentences, long-term prison sentences. So, bad people with certified, guaranteed by a court that they are bad, so with warranty, with certificate of authenticity, because we call bad people to people, we judge them as bad. These ones are certified bad people, like you have the warranty that they are. They are not bad people, any of them. They have terrible stories. I'll put you an example of one of many. A woman. This was a woman. Her name was called Nerea. Was her name. She had a prison sentence of 20-something years and entered in prison with 19. The crime is accomplice of murder, of assassination, because it was pre-planned, Murder and assassination is different here also, So murder is like in the verge of a moment, and assassination is that you prepare to... Well, I will tell you her story as a person, as a woman. She was born of a prostitute. When she was 8, the pimp of her mother raped her. And since she was 8, that pimp kept raping her, and eventually when she was 10 or something like that, they sold her to others. At 12 years old, she's a big woman, so with 10 probably she would be this woman that developed quick and big. So at 12 she escaped from the mother and the pimps. She escaped with a Dominican guy that was her savior, and that was like older than her, but probably he was 23, 24, she was 12, so not like the other people that... Anyhow, she escaped with her, and she lived with him for 4 or 5 years until she was 18, so she went at 12, 6 years, was living with this guy that for her was her savior, took her about from that torture. This guy was dedicated to cocaine business, right? So there was this other guy that owed them a lot of money. So he wanted to give a lesson. So she told her woman, his woman, dress nicely, go to this disco, take him out, bring him out, so you kind of flirt with this guy, take him out, then when you take him out, we will be there, and we will deal with him. That is what they did. They killed him, they caught them. The question is, in her skin, in the skin of that woman, put yourself in her skin, would you have acted differently?
I don't know if I...
No, put yourself in her skin. Don't think about your patternings. Think about the patternings that woman had in her mind.
I don't know that I can imagine being in that
The
situation.
impressions in her mind, the education she received, how she understood the world, the impressions she had in her mind to recognize the world. Put yourself in that body and tell me, would you have acted differently if you go and do it? The answer is no.
It doesn't mean that she doesn't deserve punishment.
No, you know what I'm talking about.
I do.
If somebody is terribly rude and mean to you and impacts your life, and you can't totally break away from that person. I'm not talking about physical abuse or sexual abuse, just somebody who's very unpleasant to them. She's a bitch.
Okay, now
And,
let's deal with that one.
okay,
Do you want to deal with that one?
yeah, I would love
Right.
to have an
So,
answer.
when we make this kind of judgments, means that in our minds we have a clear idea that Auntie Matilda, because it's always someone near to you, that Auntie Matilda let me put that light so that we can see better. So, when we get like this with any person in our lives, it's typical, we all do it. We have a lot of opinions about Auntie Matilda, right? So we are going to call her, it's Auntie Matilda or Uncle Matilda, Matthew, or Uncle Matthew. Eh?
Yeah,
Auntie Matilda it's a woman?
yeah, it's a woman.
Yeah, okay, Auntie Matilda. So, Auntie Matilda, you have a lot of ideas of what she should or should not. So, without trying to be philosophical or sensible or spiritual or wise, tell me everything you hate from Auntie Matilda. Auntie Matilda should or should not, and I write it.
She's manipulative.
Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Good, more.
She's rude.
Auntie Matilda should not. When you say rude, you mean what?
I mean, she says nasty things to people. You just,
Auntie Matilda should use sweet language.
okay.
No, because rude.
No, it's not about language. I think you're talking about that she's unnecessarily insulting.
Yes, she's unnecessarily insulting. to
Auntie
people.
Matilda should not insult or be depreciative with others. I mean, I'm trying to ask, are you speaking about that she's saying swearing, or what is it? Because you know when
No,
you say rude,
she's accusing people of doing things that they haven't done, and she
okay, Auntie Matilda
thinks her
should
way
not-
is the only good way.
should not, what would be that, twist the truth to hurt others?
She's willfully inserting herself inside her father.
She's trying to keep me away from my father, is what she does.
Okay, Auntie Matilda should not, Auntie Matilda should not, exactly, so that is what you mean. So her behavior is, but what has that to do with insulting? It's
Because she'll say nasty things to try to keep us apart.
okay, Auntie Matilda should not speak nasty about others, because we are generalizing, right?
Right.
More.
She's very selfish. She wants her way, and if she doesn't get her way,
Auntie
she's-
Matilda should not always want things her way. Right?
um,
You, don't influence.
she thinks she's better than everybody else.
Auntie Matilda should not think of herself as better to others. More. That's right? You need to fill in the blackboard. You think about that when you are angry with Auntie Matilda, you get one and another, and you have thousands
Okay.
of them coming to
She
your
should
mind.
not take her anger out, the anger that she has to me, she should not take out on other people.
Auntie Matilda should not express her anger with me to others, right?
Yeah.
Good. Come on. Another one, the last one.
She should apologize when she's wrong.
Auntie Matilda should apologize when wrong. Right. Now, we write it down and we have Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Right. Auntie Matilda is manipulated. All day manipulating this. Auntie Matilda should not speak nastily about others. She speaks back about other people all the time. Auntie Matilda should not always want things her way. She always wants things her way, right? Auntie Matilda should not think of herself as better to others. She thinks that, well, cut whiskers. Auntie Matilda should not express her anger with me or others to others. Right. And Auntie Matilda should apologize when wrong. Of all these qualities or behavioral patterns of Auntie Matilda, which is the one that you really gets you going the most of it?
I think her manipulation.
Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Okay. So we take all this for the moment. If we had a piece of paper, we would not rub it away. We would just leave it for later. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Right. Close your eyes. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Sally, is this true?
Yes.
Yes, good. Continue with your eyes closed. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulated. Sally, do you know what are the patternings in Auntie Matilda? What are the things that Auntie Matilda has come to learn to this life? What are the behavioral patterns she has to face in this life? And what in the long term is her life and why it's here? Do you know to the extent to say that Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative is 100% absolute certainty? You know everything as to say that is an absolute certainty?
I don't know everything about her, but like the child you were talking about who cried and got attention, she manipulates and gets what she wants.
Right, okay, but do you know like if you were God, imagine, do you know everything that is
No.
involved to what Auntie Matilda has to say it's a mistake of nature? Do you know to that extent?
No, how can
No,
I? I'm not
okay,
her.
so now you open your eyes. Okay, the first thing is to realize that when you have an opinion about someone, which is an opinion, you think it is true, although if you ask yourself this sufficiently well, you don't know 100% that it is true. You think it is true, but you are not certain 100%. Okay, close your eyes. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Sari, go in your memory and don't elaborate, just look in your memory a moment in your life in which Auntie Matilda has done something, has behaved in some way, something has happened that has to do with Auntie Matilda, that brought to your mind this thought that she is manipulating, and you were completely convinced that Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Take it from your memory. Bring it from your memory. Do you have it?
I do.
Good. Now, look in your memory moments that you are alone. You know, that day or that moment, whatever happened, look and extract from your memory moments that you were alone yourself and you were thinking, you were believing that Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. And tell me, Sari, when you believe that Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative, how do you treat yourself? How do you prepare yourself a coffee? How do you dress yourself? How do you take care of yourself when you believe this thought?
Well, it makes me sad, but I don't know that I take care of myself differently. Probably a little bit, maybe.
Probably, yeah. You did well. Not as well as normally. Great. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Now, keep yourself in that memory, and now look of moments that you were with other people. It could be Matthew, or it could be your children or friends. Look for moments that you were with other people, and look for different moments, different people. But look for moments that your mind had this thought and you were believing it. You were believing that Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative, and you were believing that as a truth. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. When you believe this thought, Sari, and you are with other people, how do you behave with other people? How do you treat them? How do you communicate with them? Tell me, how is it that...
I complain about Auntie Matilda.
Okay, you complain. So you just, all that anger that you have with Auntie Matilda, somehow you revert it to them. Good. So, you know, I revert my anger of Auntie Matilda. Okay, close your eyes. Continue with your eyes closed. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Auntie Matilda should not be manipulative. Sorry. Now look in your mind moments, real moments that you are believing this thought and you are with Auntie Matilda. When you believe this thought and you are with Auntie Matilda, how do you behave with Auntie Matilda?
Well, for about 12 years I kept my mouth shut, and recently I told her off.
Okay, so you behave with your mouth shut. It's like
Yes.
you don't behave, and when you tell her off, you just tell her off. Bad.
Badly. Oh, yeah.
Bad. Okay. Now, if we analyze where have we got to, we believe a thought of which we are not certain, and when we believe this thought, you know, we have this. Now, close your eyes. Sari, imagine yourself without this thought. Imagine a Sari that never entertained this thought. In fact, imagine a Sari that saw Auntie Matilda manipulative, and Sari thought it was comical for her. You know, imagine a Sari that never entertained that thought. And imagine that Sari in the same circumstances that you visited before. Okay? So imagine yourself without that thought in the same circumstances. And tell me, without that thought, in the same circumstances, how would you have treated yourself?
Probably better.
How would you have treated others?
Better.
And how would you have treated Auntie Matilda? Better, right. Okay, so you can open your eyes.
Is that true?
And here, you know, this is
If it's
pure
not,
logic.
Say it if it's not.
This is pure
If I
logic.
didn't have that thought.
Let me finish, we have to finish. This is pure logic. We believe something of what we are not 100% certain because you are not inside the mind of Auntie Matilda or of any other. Believing this doesn't look very helpful because without the thought, we could be doing it much better, right? Now we are going to make a little change here. And we are going to take Auntie Matilda and we are going to put Sari. Sari, close your eyes. Sari should not be manipulative. Sari should not be manipulative. Sari, go in your memory, in your mind, and find 3 moments of your life, real moments, you don't need to tell us, you just need to find them, that you could say that the sentence, Sari should not be manipulative, is true. In other words, moments that you were manipulative. Look for 3 moments in your life that you've been manipulative. And when you find the first one, you tell me the first one. When you find the second one, you tell me the second one. And when you find the third one, you tell me the third one.
I think I'm ever manipulative. Am I manipulative? I'm talking to you.
I'm not supposed to.
Well, I suppose that Matthew might think I'm manipulative when I call him and tell him to come home from work.
Well, that could be one, yeah, but you know, you will find, look, don't be shy, look for those moments. You will have hundreds of them as soon as you look. And Matthew knows them, although he's not going to tell us.
I honestly.
Find 1 and you say me 1, find 2 and you tell me 2, find 3 and you tell me 3.
I really don't think that I'm manipulative ever. I can't think of anything.
That is like saying something which is impossible. We are all manipulative. All, absolutely all. You are a therapist, right? Is that true or not? We are all manipulative. We all want to manipulate. We all want the things turned our way. All of us. We all express our anger with someone to others when we are angry. We all do the same thing. We all, in our inner conversations, manipulate constantly. We are all manipulating. Even your friend doesn't come and you manipulated Matthew to come. Somehow. We are all manipulative. We are all manipulative.
Okay. Well,
What this means is what? That in reality, when one is very attached to your belief, you don't want to see it. But that's only because you don't want to see it. But, this is just a belief. It's just a judgment of Auntie Matilda. You have that opinion of Auntie Matilda. Discard that opinion and deal with the situation without that opinion. And you will see how easy it is to deal with the situation. Because the situation really gets problematic when you are not recognizing in the only area that you can act, which is within. You cannot. change Auntie Matilda, but you can change you. And when you act within, then you will see how the exterior, suddenly Auntie Matilda will stop looking manipulative. That's how it works. We simply project ourselves like in a cinema screen. You know, maybe Auntie Matilda is manipulating to keep you away from your father, and you are manipulating your father to keep her away from Auntie Matilda, because that would be the obvious things to do. You know, so it's just a reflection of ourselves all the time, like in a mirror. So when you get angry with something outside, look inside, because you are getting angry with yourself. Because love thy neighbor as thyself precisely means that your neighbor is thyself. Without your neighbor, you would not exist, and without you, your neighbor would not exist, because it's all interrelated. So it's perfectly interrelated. It doesn't deserve getting angry with anybody for their behavior, because to begin with, you cannot do anything to change the behavior of another person. You can only do something to change your own behavior. You cannot do anything to change the opinions or ideas that any other person has. You can only change your opinion and your ideas, or eventually learn to discard them. Because the opinions and ideas we have of reality are that. Opinions and ideas projected in the screen of our mind, but not reality. Reality has to do more with actuality, with the actuality of the day you have to live. We get very attached to our opinions because we think that we are that projection in the mind. But you are not that. You are much more vast than that, you know. In reality, you are the divinity which is within you. And that divinity is one with Auntie Matilda, by the way. She has the same exact divinity as you have within you. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Look. What is nearer the moon? This place? Or Mount, what is a mount nearby here? Mount Vernon. Is that mountain near?
Mount Washington, maybe.
Mount
100
Washington.
miles.
What is nearer to the moon? Here or Mount Washington?
No, Washington, I would think.
No. If you put a rocket from here or from Mount Washington, it takes the same time to arrive to the moon. There is no difference. They say, in physics, they say the difference is not appreciable. You don't know there is no difference in reality. Well, those are the differences between human beings. You know, the amount of time that has taken to build Auntie Matilda and the amount of time that has taken to build you is the same time. And the differences are immaterial. And in fact, Auntie Matilda, being a nearby you person, you pull a few strings, you know, no more than 12 or 13 or 14, and you belong to the same family. You have the same patternings, you have the same understandings and conceptualizations of life. So, you know, you either see God out there or you see yourself. And when you don't see God, you will realize this if you meditate. What you are seeing is yourself. And what you hate outside is what you hate of yourself. Even though you might not even recognize it, that it is there and that you hate it, because it can be very subconscious, but it's the case. If not, you will not be able but to love it. Because it's like if it was something that that person, it's like if you are watching a child doing something that is not good for him. You don't get mad with the child. It doesn't affect you emotionally. You just help the child to not to be in danger. When something affects you emotionally, it's a different ballgame. When something affects you emotionally, means that that event activates in your mind a samskara, a set of information, a package of information that there is some problem here, some imbalance here, and so it produces thoughts that produce a negative emotion. And the problem to let yourself go of thoughts that produce negative emotions is that in reality what you are doing with this is making it happen. I will give you an example. So that we can look it outside like something that is, because it's more difficult to look at yourself. So we will put it outside so that you understand what I'm trying to say. Now, this is the event. Okay, an event happens. And this event produces in your mind thoughts. Some are conscious thoughts and some are subconscious, we could call it structures. Or thoughts, but structures, thought structures. Now, you are pushed by this energy that started in the Big Bang, call it love. Here is the mind, with all the movement that the event produces. This movement of this pattern is activated, the pros and cons, the identity, your identity, which is a sector of these memories that you make yours, and you say, I am whatever you want to do. So this is moving and creating these thoughts, and then thoughts, because this energy is pushing, this energy through the thoughts becomes an emotion. In other words, emotions is like, imagine the mind as a prism. The energy, it's only one, like the light, white, call it love, only one energy, only one feeling, basic love, but then it goes through the prism of the mind and you have the rainbow of all emotions. In other words, fear of death is a love of life, and in the middle the mind telling you, yes, but you're going to die and it's going to hurt and it will be very, very bad. So it comes out fear to death. The energy is there. So the emotion conditions a behavior, a movement of the muscles, and this behavior acts over the event, right? So, example, event. A woman, say 25, 26, 30, young woman.
I'm listening.
Eh? A young woman, imagine, a young woman, your boyfriend has said he's going to call at 8 p.m. And 8 p.m. comes, he doesn't call. 9 p.m., he has not called, you call your boyfriend. Telephone switched off. 10 o'clock, you call the boyfriend, telephone switched off. 11 o'clock, you call the boyfriend, telephone switched off. Go on calling the boyfriend. 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning, you go to sleep. The following day at 10 o'clock, or sleep very bad, the following day at 10 o'clock, you wake up, you phone, the phone is on, and he says hello. Okay, this is the scenery, this is the event. Now, this particular woman, during that time from 8 p.m. till she goes to sleep, has had all sorts of thoughts, but there have been three main existing thoughts, three main thoughts that have repeated themselves a lot. The thoughts are, my boyfriend is with another girl. The other thought has been, my boyfriend doesn't love me. And the other thought, persistent also, is, my boyfriend is going to leave me.
Oh, I was going to go with dead. He's dead.
Yeah, that's
Okay, this different woman, different structures, different impressions. This is an example. Okay, by the composition of these structures, this particular woman produces these thoughts. You know, like we said of the Yankees. You know, the Yankees win, and this mind produces happiness. This other mind that has the Patriots patterning produces. So this mind is conditioned to produce these thoughts. So with these thoughts, she has an emotion which is a mixture of anger, because, you know, leave me, jealousy, fear, because she thinks that she will be alone, that there is no more fish in the ocean but the boyfriend, you know. So she phones, and with that emotion coloring her behavior, phones the boyfriend, and they have a conversation. You can just imagine. Now, look at the other side of the thing. Doesn't matter what the boyfriend was doing. Doesn't matter at all. He could have been sacked of his job, and, you know, he didn't want to speak with anybody because he was worried about his future, switched off the phone, and had been walking through Central Park, going round his mind of what to do. Her mother could have called him, that the grandmother is lost, she has Alzheimer, he went there, he has been all night looking for the grandmother, the telephone ran out of batteries, and, you know, after hours they found her, he went to sleep. He could have met an old girlfriend that he had, and they went for a coffee, and they had a coffee, and one thing led to another, and they slept together, just for him to realize that that had finished already, but, you know, these things happen, particularly with men. So that could have happened also. He could have simply forgot, and he was with friends in a bar, he forgot about that he was going to call, the telephone ran out of batteries, he didn't give it any more importance. So it doesn't matter what was the boyfriend doing or not doing. What is for sure is that after this call, your boyfriend, my boyfriend doesn't love me, your boyfriend doesn't feel lovingly at that moment. After that call, it's not precisely a warmth in his heart that he feels for you. My boyfriend is going to leave me. Probably after that call, your boyfriend, you know, puts the telephone down, and maybe for the first time he thinks, I don't know if this woman is the adequate woman for me. My boyfriend is with another girl. Probably after that call, and together with this thought, your boyfriend is, maybe I need to find another woman. Now, if this behavior, if this patterning of behavior repeats itself enough number of times, your boyfriend leaves you, stops loving you, and finds another girl. That is how you make your thoughts true. Now, when your thoughts about whatever produce in you a negative emotion, is the way that nature has to tell you, beware with what you're thinking, because you're going to make it true and you're not going to like it. This is the bull. you know, and these negative emotions, they generate all the hormone, stress, reaction hormones. You know, the problem with this bull is that, you know, if it was in Pamplona, in the San Fermins, you know Pamplona, in the San Fermins, well, you know, when the bull is out, you get all the stress reaction, but you run, and when the bull is in, everything disappears. The problem here is that you think that the bull is this, but the bull is this, so the bull is with you all the time, and you are constantly generating that stress reaction, constantly generating that emotion, and making what you are thinking true. So, when you have a negative emotion, look at the thoughts or the beliefs within you that create that negative emotion and learn to discard it. Find its untruthfulness. Do some auto-analysis. Try to find where it comes and discard it. Discard it. Take away the bull, because this emotion persists while you believe the thoughts. Until you stop believing the thoughts, the emotion will persist. It's like you have to question your thought and find its falsity, because it is false. It's like, this is an example used very much in psychotherapy. You know, imagine, Roxanne, that I tell you, Roxanne, don't move. There is a viper by your foot, and you look and you see a viper. What would be your emotion?
Something
Well,
like
fear.
a great deal of caution.
Well,
You might say fear.
Fear, you know. If you see a viper there, I'm in fear of being beaten. No, right, I mean, normal. So I say, don't move, don't move, don't move. Stop, stop, stop. And then I do like this. And I take it like this and say, it's a plastic one. What happens with the fear?
Well, it dissipates
Yeah.
rapidly.
Immediately.
And now you're angry at him for telling you there's a viper at your
Immediately.
feet.
No, I'm putting this as an example so that you understand, you know.
Yes.
While you think the danger is real, the bull is real, the emotion persists. It's only when you see the unreality of the danger that emotion disappears. And these thoughts, when they produce negative emotions, guaranteed 100% they are not true. They have nothing to do with what is really happening, to put it in other words. What is really happening is another thing altogether.
I mean, back to the women in the safe house who some of whom went and found other abusive men.
Some of them know.
Some of them know. Some
All of
yes.
them. Look, all of them until they don't overcome that pattern.
The bull. They're bull. I'm receiving.
Exactly, all of them. I mean, and ask to any social worker that has dealt with this problem, because they all know. It's so typical, you know. It's in the books. You know, there are things like the judicial truths. Any lawyer here?
Yeah.
You are a lawyer?
Yeah.
You know, judicial truths in Spain is, you know, when something gets to the court, you know. Always, for example, it is a judicial truth that every time an abuser gets to the point that he's in court and is going to get, you know, prosecuted for that, if you look at the past of that abuser, he has either been abused or he has that patterning beforehand. And the patternings, you get them in positive or negative.
Right.
You may have been abused and you become an abuser, or you may have been abused and you continue being abused because you have the patterning of being abused. And it happens all the time.
Well, so let's say the person has a pattern of picking the abuser, then
No, but
I'll finish my thought.
Sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize. Then what she's thinking might have a lot of truth in it because she's picked the same man over and over again.
What I don't understand your question.
Okay. She keeps picking the same kind of man who is unfaithful. Or she knows that she knows
We are speaking about whom? We are speaking about this girl, this imaginary girl. Of whom are you speaking? Or the abused
No,
woman?
I mean, I can identify with these repeat patterns.
Right.
I just wonder what you'd say if this lady, all this feeling she has, he's with another girl, he doesn't love me, he's gonna leave me, because she already knows who he is. She
No,
she knows.
It has nothing to do with him. These thoughts come through subconscious structure. There is evidently a feeling of inadequacy. There is a feeling of insecurity attached to all these things. Because look,
so
if you are another kind of woman without that feeling of inadequacy or that insecurity in her, could be thinking, the fucking asshole is not calling me, I'm going to go out with this other boyfriend.
that's right.
So, you know, different patternings create different thoughts.
But that's the thing. See, the patterning. What did you call it? The
Subconscious
right.
structure.
That's the critical piece.
Exactly.
Right, and so everything comes through. It comes through there before it goes to the thoughts.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
So it all goes-
This is the generator of the thoughts. In
That's
other
right,
words, in
right.
other words,
So-
but
Right.
what you are conscious of, what you are normally conscious of, is the thoughts. So how, for example, in this example, how would you discard the thoughts? You know, using logos. Logos is so practical. My boyfriend doesn't love me. How do you know? What is love? You know, question this thought. What is love? Love means that your boyfriend, when he listens your name, feels a warmth in his heart. That's love. Love means that your boyfriend brings you flowers every Friday. That is love. Love means that your boyfriend is thinking about you all the time. That is love. Well, we don't know. We don't know what warmth he feels. We don't know what... And if he doesn't love you, so what? What happens if he doesn't love me? Can you make your boyfriend love you if he doesn't love you? Well, what can we do? He doesn't love you, that's it. My boyfriend is going to leave me. Well, if he's going to leave me, let him leave me. And find another boyfriend.
You see, there's a piece for me that's a little bit missing, and I believe totally in the working of the mind. For example, your comments, sorry, about how are you when how do you behave? How do you feel when you're so angry? It's helpful then for you to be able to know, hey, I don't like these feelings, I don't like being like this, so what do I have to do? You know, screw her in some way, I'm going to take care of myself. So something about the fact that I'm not feeling good is the motivating force to change something. Right?
But you can only
The
change
feelings.
it within.
Yes, of course, always, and you can change it by changing the thought or being compassionate with yourself in whatever ways. For me, that the addressing of the feelings of inadequacy, suddenly you're afraid and you're angry, and if you know that, this is triggering
Well,
something,
exactly what
how do you
what
be
you
compassionate
are saying,
here
what you
to
are
then
saying,
go there?
what you are saying is normally people need some kind of counseling to deal with this situation. That's why psychotherapists are there.
They need
You
some
know,
kind of-
because you need someone, because although it's very easy in seeing it outside, it's much more difficult to see it within yourself, seeing it inside, because you are so convinced
Right.
or your ideas, but the end result of whatever psychotherapy you go through is that these thoughts must be discarded.
Right. So the other thing besides psychotherapy that can help, although psychotherapy will have this in it, is to have some compassionate understanding. Because
Well,
if you're in judgment against
That
yourself, it won't.
comes through meditation and spiritual
Yes.
practices
Yes.
normally.
Yes, so that the compassion can enable you to cope with what's going on inside, and then maybe to take another point of view on it.
Exactly, but
But the
that comes
judgment issues.
That comes to meditation, because think
Yes, I
that
agree.
meditation, you said about loving other people. You cannot oblige yourself to love
No,
someone.
no.
In the same way that you cannot call butterflies so that they come to your garden. But you can plant flowers in your garden,
Yes.
and then the butterflies come by themselves.
Right.
So, you cannot make yourself laugh, but you can apply yourself a discipline that will
Now I can-
bring love, will unfold love within you. That discipline is the meditation techniques and spiritual practice.
Absolutely.
And when you practice that discipline and the combination of all the things that it puts into motion, your heart opens as a final.
But the heart has to open to oneself too, right?
Well, when the heart opens, it opens obviously to everything, because there is no difference. When the heart opens, it's like, remember when you were in love when you were young. It opens for yourself, you feel good and you love yourself, and you also love everybody around you. It happens automatically. You don't need to think how it has to be. It happens. It's a happening. So you don't need to think it's compassion with me or it's compassion with some other. It happens, and when it happens, and it's all-encompassing, let's put it that way.
Right. Well, until that happens, though, for me, my experience has been through Vipassana and mindfulness and blah, blah, like we all have, that place of not just, a non-judgmental awareness and thought, but when you see that you're struggling with something or you're suffering with something difficult has come up in meditation or something like that, if you can say, oh, sweetheart, cool out a little bit, this will pass, or, oh, this is really hard, sorry you're suffering. The ways of practicing being a little kind to yourself that may begin to change
Well,
these other
yeah.
things.
That is true. That is what we could call self-compassion or auto-compassion. Basically, that means that you treat yourself as your best friend, not as your
Yes,
worst
exactly.
enemy.
Right.
Because sometimes we treat ourselves as our worst enemy, because I always do everything bad, I
Yes,
don't get off this
exactly.
patterning,
Exactly.
always again the same thing has happened to me. So what you do is imagine your best friend has done exactly the same. How would you go to your friend? Would you go and tell him you said for nothing? You are good for nothing. Again, you made the fucking same
Yeah.
mistake.
Right.
No,
Which
you
is-
don't do that to your friend. You treat him more kindly.
But that's how we talk to ourselves. in
Exactly. So one has to treat
Change
yourself as your best friend, not as your worst enemy. You know, in the same way you treat the others like that. That's the essence of the Namaste practice, which is, you know, realize that we all have the same spark. Next time you are with Auntie Matilda, don't put the emphasis in the superficial values. Put the emphasis in the heart that is beating within her, which is the same as the heart that is beating within you. And that's the way it works. It's the same heart. Another thing you can do, how long you know this Auntie Matilda?
About 12 years, right?
12 years. Okay. You've always hated Auntie Matilda?
From day one.
Okay. So well, that's clearly not her problem. Because you cannot hate someone from day one
Speak to my
unless
attorney, he'll tell you. She deserves
You
it.
knew it right away, huh?
anyhow, you know, you can just attach yourself to your opinion and your idea, or you can try to just let go.
That's what I'm going to try to do. I don't know if
Let
it's
go,
possible.
you know, forget about how manipulative she is. You try not to be manipulative. Try not to express your anger with her to others and things like that. Deal with yourself and let the rest of the people deal with their lives. There are three kinds of businesses: your business, other people's businesses, and God's businesses.
Yeah.
You have to be in your business because it's the only place that you will find peace. If you are in other people's businesses or in God's businesses, you are stressed because you have no power of action there. You cannot change someone, you can only change yourself. And circumstances are there because nothing happens, nothing moves in this universe that is not moving according to certain laws, right or wrong.
I suppose so.
So if it is there, they call them the laws of God. Now they call them the laws of nature. Doesn't matter, it's the same, it's a law. You know, a saint and a sinner fall at the same speed from a fifth floor. There is no force in this universe that will bring the saint slower. No force. It's like justice blind, you know, applies the law. And there are laws, and if the laws of God or the laws of nature have brought that to your life, it's for something. Nothing is for nothing here. Everything has its whys and its wherefores, and from everything we can learn a lesson. And when we are in front of something that is affecting us emotionally, it's a lesson we have to learn. So instead of not accepting it and not wanting it to be there, ask yourself, what is it there for me in this? What is it there for me that I need to learn of this? But ask yourself, don't try to change that. Find what it is asking of you, and when you find it, you will be free of the emotion that is making you feel as you feel with this situation. Okay, so we leave it now. Dinner probably will be ready in 20 minutes as there is a drum circle. While we have dinner, you know, we will open the doors and like in the opera, we will be in the VIP. In the VIP sitting space.
And sometime you will tell us the story of how you met your guru?
You want me to tell it now?
Yeah, tell
Yeah,
us.
you have time?
Yeah.
Great.
I cut the story short because it's a little bit a long story, but I was very young. Since I was a little boy, I wanted to discover the secret of life. And you know, I was 6 or 7 years old, and I would give conferences about the cell and cancer and this, that, the other. In fact, I was these children that are very intelligent.
Prodigy.
Yeah, I lost it with age, you know, I lost it.
You grow into it.
But, you know, I went very quickly in the school. At 14, I was already in college, with 14 years old. And my friends there were 18 or 19 or 20, I was 14. Because I did, you know, my K1 to K12, I did the last ones, I did them 2 by 2. So in 1 year 2, in 1 year 2, because I got bored only with one. And I wanted, and I thought that I would find the secret of life in biology, biochemistry, molecular genetics. So I was studying medicine, and I was working in molecular genetics, you know.
Wow.
I was like, when all these things happened, I was 18 to 19, and I had already published works in scientific magazines, in the Journal of Molecular Biology, you know, and you can find them in the Google, you still find them in Google, all on molecular genetics. It was 17 I was then. So then I left because, you know, I thought, no, this doesn't take me to the truth. So I left that and I changed to physics, and I started to study physics. And I was studying physics. If you would ask me then if I believed in God, the best I could tell you is that I was agnostic. But probably I would tell you that I was an atheist, really. So I was in that situation. I had only studied all my life, you could say. And I got in love with this girl. You know, at those ages, these things happen.
These ages, those things.
The girl was called Marimar, you know, and I lived alone. I lived in a house, in a very nice house in nearby Madrid, nearby the university where I studied, you know, and I lived in this very nice place. So it is the typical area of Madrid, in the mountains nearby Madrid, where many families, particularly rich families, have like a second home, and they go the weekends, you know, to the mountain and this, that, the other. So I lived in that place, and the university, you know, this is Madrid, this was the university, this is the mountain, so it's in the middle of the two. And it was cheaper to rent here than in Madrid. So this was this girl that came with her parents every weekend. And you know, we've met several times in bars and there. So this Friday I knew she was coming and she was going to this bar. So I went to the bar, you know, and I put myself as nice as possible, and I went to the bar, and you know, there she was effectively, and you know, in this effulsiveness of this being in love, you know, literally I saw her, you know, surrounded by a light, you know. So I went there, and I was received so badly, and I was clearly, absolutely, totally rejected. So I went with all this love in me, and you know, I started a conversation, but she cut me, and then she cut me like very, very, you say, you know, leave me in peace, I don't want anything with you, you know. So and all this in front of other friends, you know. So I imagine the situation. I was there, you know, standing still without speaking, kind of going little by little back. I kind of went back a little bit, and then I said, look, I go home. And I, you know, turned back and started my way going home. And while I was walking up home, I was feeling two feelings at the same time. In one side, I was feeling in love, so I was feeling that, you know, very expansive, that went up. And on the other side, I was feeling the rejection, the frustration. So, you know, I felt the love, and then the memory of the frustration came and brought me down, and I felt the love, and the frustration came and brought me down, and I started to think as I was coming to my home, I said to myself, I need to take this memory away. I need to take away this. I need to be able to stay with the love and take away this other thing that is in my mind. So I was walking, it's like a mile and a half. I walked all the way to my house. I arrived at my house, I opened the house, and the house was like a male of 18, 19 years old has a house. I don't know if you have any experience about that. Dirty. And not precisely nicely put. So, I entered the house, I realized how dirty it was, how bad it smelled in fact. And I said to myself, aha, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to clean the house. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to project this frustration into the dirty house. And I'm going to use the love to clean the house. And as I had just read, because this is 1978, I had just read Lord of the Rings, that was just published, you know, and they put like this big battle, you know, the big battle of Lord of the Rings. I don't know if you've read it or seen the film, but the book is better. Anyhow, I said, well, this is going to be a battle. The battle of the good ones, the clean ones, the in love ones, against the dirty, frustrated ones, you know. So I started to clean the house. And I prepared all my armament, that was all the cleaning products I had, that I had of everything, because I knew I had the house dirty. And I went to the supermarket, and not knowing very well what to buy, I kind of bought everything that I could find. I just put everything, at some use I will give it. So I started to clean the house. I started with the kitchen to guarantee, you know, the logistics of the warriors, you know, have access to food and everything. So I cleaned the kitchen perfectly well. I continued cleaning the living room that night. It became late enough, and I went to sleep in the area that was clean in the living room. The next morning I woke up very early, and the battle started again. I got so involved in the battle that on Saturday, at some time in Saturday, I had already forgotten about Marimar, the girl. And I was just completely involved in feeling this love that was finishing with every dirt that was in me. And in fact, every time I was cleaning, I was at the same time projecting my own dirt there and cleaning it out. So I did that with the house, and I finished cleaning the house completely the Sunday. So I went all Saturday, slept all Sunday, and like at 6, 7 o'clock, this was February, on that Sunday, it was in the mountains of Madrid, a very cold, but without clouds, very cold, but where it was probably -10 centigrade, not Fahrenheit, -10 centigrade, which is, I don't know in Fahrenheit what, but 0 grade is 32, so -10 centigrade. And it's a typical that things get frozen, and this is a very rocky area, so you could listen the clacks of the rocks, no? That clack, clack. That was the only sound. As it is, as all the weekenders have left, you know, there was this big silence, and you couldn't hear anything, because when it's so cold, you know, the wind was no wind, no nothing, just the cracks. And I sat in this chair I had, and I closed my eyes. I closed my eyes, and I saw a white, bright point in front of me, like with a tracker. And I had completely forgotten about everything. You know, I just felt good. I felt in love but not even of Marimar, just felt in love. I thought everything was beautiful, clean, was feeling at peace with everything, and was completely inundated with this love. So I was feeling the love kind of here, and I closed my eyes, and that point was there, without moving, very bright. And I felt very well. I said, oh, because I was feeling the love, and I was looking at the point, and I just started to let go there. And I let go, I let go, I let go. The sensation was that the point was coming like towards me and coming down, and this energy was coming up, and then they touched. And when they touched, the way I have to describe it, because it is very difficult to describe it, is like imagine 200,000 angels in each cell of your body, in each cell, 200,000 in each cell, blew these big trumpets, and what they blow, when they blew the trumpets, was the feeling of love. So it was kind of an explosion of love, literally an explosion, like the Big Bang. And then when this happens, it was what I could discover, but I am elaborating to discover this, to describe this, because it's not describable with words, and I don't know how much time happened or not, because I saw the whole universe, from the beginning to the end, everything that has happened. It was like if a body and a body came, and another body and another body, each body was more things, and suddenly I was the whole universe. I was one with the universe. And I realized that I was all, that was it. And at that moment, I felt fear. I felt fear. And then I felt fear, and the opposite movement happened. You know, it's like a body came out, boom, and suddenly I found myself sitting in the chair. And I said to myself, what has happened? Because, you know, I saw creation, I saw, you know, the Big Bang, every life, the life of every person, you know, everything. So it's impossible to describe it like in a story, because it's everything happening at the same time. So this happened to me, and me with a scientific mind thought to myself, I need to find someone that can tell me what has happened to me. And then I started to look, and I don't know why, probably I read a book recently. I think I read 7 Years in the Tibet, I think it was, that was also published at that time, which is the story of this guy that goes to the Tibet. Anyhow, something that I read made me look in Eastern teachers. So, in 1978, I went to the Eastern teachers around. Maharishi Mahesh, Rajneesh, Maharaji, all the ones that came through Spain. And I thought they were all... I said, my God, you know. Some of them were vegetarian, I thought. Some of them you had to dress in a way or in another. The only one that was a little bit funny was Rajneesh, because, you know, it was kind of, you know, party, love, sex, love, rock and roll. But, you know, it could not answer, you know, I wanted something serious. So time passed by, I went to this, to that, to the other. I didn't find anything. This thing had happened to me, not again. I was still going to the university, and so I thought to myself, well, maybe, you know, these things that happened to me, and that's it, and nothing. But, you know, there was something there that was left. But, you know, I started to, you know, you start working, your life, time goes by. So like a year later when this happened, this person that was living in the same village where I lived, Benigno Morilla was his name, I even remember, told me, by the way, I've heard that you've been looking for Eastern Masters, and I told him, yes, but I have left it now because, you know, they are all shit asses. And he said to me, wow, well, no, I tell you because they've told me about this master that is coming to this other village. He comes from India also, but yeah, they've told me that he's a shit ass. And he told me, in fact, he drinks and he likes women. And that he drinks and he smokes. And that sounded to me, because I drank and I smoked. I said, well, look, at least one that doesn't tell me that I have to be vegetarian, or that I cannot drink, or that I cannot smoke. So I went to see him, and I was there, you know, he was there, and it was the first meeting, and he said, I see that there are new people here. Does anyone want to make a question? It is recorded. That thing is recorded and I have it. And then I stand up and in English I try to explain in the form of a question, in just a few sentences, what had happened to me. And you know, between that I was nervous and that this is a long story to cut it so short as in the form of a question, that I listen to myself today, you don't even know what the hell I'm speaking about. As there was a translator to Spanish, I don't tell you what the translator translation is. But then, my guru said, look, I don't understand your question, but I can understand what you are asking me. You are asking me how you discriminate between what is real and what is unreal. And I said, exactly, because in reality I wanted to know if that happened to me was real. And he answered me. And since then, to today. So that's the story.
Oh, but you didn't answer what he answered, but that's an interesting
I
story in
know.
itself.
The answer, yeah, it's recorded in a tape of about an hour.
Oh.
You know,
Wow.
he goes very little by little, how this works, the mind works, what is it, and you know, it was like he unveiled this, he made me understand this, he made me understand that, he made me, and suddenly I could see the picture, and I said, that's it. And that's how I
And he died shortly after that, correct? He didn't live
He
that
died in 1988, 10 years after,
much. Yeah.
So then you went to study
with him, yeah. Because then I realized that that was where I was going to find the secret of life. Of the things I studied in the university, I made my living, but the secret of life, I found it not in physics, not in biology. Although physics, you know, is of the sciences, is
That's right.
one that really takes you near.
Yes.
But you have to give the last step to poetry. You don't get to spirituality with mathematics. You need poetry. Poetry is a step beyond mathematics. Although there is poetry in mathematics.
So that longing that you had as a child, that intention, that
Mhm.
wanting, was
The guiding
ultimately
force, yeah,
answered.
was the guiding force.
That was the guiding force.
Right. Good, so
Thank you for.
Yes, thanks.
Would you help me clean my house? Would you sit there while I
Yes.
face my demon?
is one of the good practices of mindful practices, you know. Clean your house mindfully, because you will be cleaning your thoughts at the same time you clean your thoughts. Okay. Everything is ready for dinner? Okay, so dinner is ready.
For us.
For you, yeah, exactly.
Chinese Buddhist temple, mystic temple in my place. And part of it is
Cleaning, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm Harry. Harry, my son's name all the time.
My name is
Hello, Maria.
Carlos por lo del pavo.
Enjoy dinner. Harry's dad. Harry, my husband. Hello, nice to meet you.
Ah, no, pero eso era una edad.
We're sort of, are you joining us in the drum circle tonight? Yes.
Thank you.
I know you, Roxanne. I think you've been to Merrill's house for meditation once. And I think, yes, years ago.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Got it.
You want to do a pronunciation.
no, I was mispronouncing
Oh,
because that's what
okay. So anyway, I recognize you. Welcome. I'm sorry to see you here. So tonight's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Monica.
So everybody here are people who regularly attend at Merrill's.
Yes, a lot, yes. We're from the, little Chris is new to the ashram, and Ramon, the rest of us got here from help set it up, and did a good part of the summer, and get it ready, and help present everything, so tonight we're running a drum circle. So I hope you enjoy the Namaste. Nice to see you.
Some sort of memory.
Yes.
Arroz blanco, white rice, salad, vegetable salad, this is compost. This is a manzana. Yes.